The new Bob 106.3.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single day focuses on the people who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. You know, last week was an incredible week on Coast Vue. We had the live show from Cruising the Coast from Town Green there in Biloxi. We looked out over that incredible group of people visiting our area, and there was a lot of pride. In my conversation live with Fofo Gillich, the mayor of Biloxi, we talked about that pride and the fact that, the mayor really didn't have to be mayor. He felt like it was sort of his civic duty after being raised here and having been given so much of this by this great city, that he is just his turn, and he takes it seriously, and he's so committed to that. But to watch the mayor look out over that crowd of people having such a good time, it was just amazing to see. And he calls himself the tip of the spear. Not actually. He didn't take himself too seriously, but he gets it. He gets that the mayor is a representative. The mayor is the guy behind the scenes who's trying to pull all these different pieces together. And as we learned in our conversation with Captain Brian Dykes from the Biloxi Police Department, the intricate traffic plan and the interoperating agreements between the cities and the counties and the first responders and all that to pull off something like the Cruising the Coast is amazing. It really is amazing. And then I can't help but think about the couple of times that we had Woody Bailey on the show. Woody Bailey is literally the father of Cruising the Coast. He gets significant kudos for sort of being the glue to bring it together. I love the way that Brian Dykes sort of described him. He said, I see Mr. Woody as a duck, calm on the surface, and inside his legs are just moving like crazy. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting way to describe Woody, because he is this kind of cool, calm, collected guy. I walked around the cruising site in Biloxi with him, incidentally, and got to meet some cool people. One of the guys who was on my show, let's see, his name was Barry Orbor. He's from Louisiana, and he joined us on the show, and he wanted us to see his wonderful Cadillac that he had built, beautiful car, I might add. And he wanted to do a picture with us, and we visited with him for a second. But as Woody and I walked down the road, people just knew Woody. Woody was a celebrity. I've been coming here 20 years. I've been coming here 10 years. I know you. You're the guy. Woody just shakes people's hand and moves on. He's so humble about the whole situation. But Cruising Week was a great week. There were an incident or two along the way that unfortunately we had to deal with. But all in all, a record-breaking situation. And glad for all the great leadership that we had. So now let's turn to today's guest, my friend, the CEO for the Gulf Coast, the Gulf Coast Chamber. I almost said Business Council, Adele. But anyway, Adele Lyons is a longtime friend, been on the show so many times. And let me just first of all say, how you doing, Adele?
I'm doing good, Ricky. Really doing well. You're right. Last week was, it's fun, it's interesting, it's crazy, it's busy. All in all, turned out great.
So we're having to pre-tape this show. The truth is, if we were actually doing this show on Tuesday, you would be where?
I'd be in Paris, France.
Tell me about that?
Well, my brother-in-law works for Disney Theatrical, which is the part of Disney where they do the Broadway shows, like many people have seen, the traveling shows. And so he's working on a show that's going to open. It's the 25th anniversary of Beauty and the Beast is showing in Paris. So he's there working. My sister Reggie is with him. They have an apartment, which means there's room for a guest, and away I go. So I'm heading to Paris for a week. And we've got a full plan from morning to night to see all the sights and do everything and eat lots of good food and cheese and wine and just, enjoy the experience.
I probably should have them both on the show at some point. They would have some stories to tell, wouldn't they?
They do. They met working for Cirque du Soleil when they were traveling with Cirque. Reggie is a PR in the PR department, and Dave is the technical director. So, yeah, they've got some stories to tell.
And Reggie's had some she's traveled all over the place, hasn't she?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's come back to cruising for a second.
All right.
Over 9,000 cars registered. You're talking about another 1,500, Woody estimates, each year that don't actually register, that just come down and enjoy it. And then you have all these locals that are involved and all of that, the coordination between the cities. What I've come to say about it, Adele, is that it is the largest outreach event that Coastal Mississippi is involved in. When you think about people coming from all these different states all
Right.
at one time, visiting the entire collection of communities that make up Coastal Mississippi, I can't overstate how important it is, can I?
No, I mean that, it started out where people stayed in hotels and motels and parked their cars. And then it grew into this, the largest campsite we've probably ever seen that spreads up and down the coast, where people started many years ago with their RVs and the tents along the highway and barbecue grills and et cetera. And some are people that are there for the whole week, as you know. Some are people that walk down the street from their house if they live somewhere near Highway 90 and flop a tent down and go sit every evening and just watch the cars go. But that's hotel revenue, that's food revenue. They're in the grocery stores, they're in the Walmarts and the Targets picking up things they either forgot or need. They're in the boutiques and the gift shops, because that's what you do when you go out of town. You go see what attractions there are and what shopping you might want to do in these specialty shops. They're spending money. They leave the place clean when they go. Generally, it's not a big mess after a week, and it's just a boost for our economy, but it's also just a boost for our community. And I think that we get to play the role of a host. We're the hospitality at its finest during cruising the coast.
It is incredible. I think about, like, for example, outside the Harrison County area, but you really speak to the whole One Coast thing. But as you begin to add stops like Moss Point, for example, and I've said on the show many times, as kids, we grew up and we knew we were near Moss Point because of the paper mill, but that's not been there for a long, long time. And they've such a great strategy to really take advantage of the I-10 corridor and this beautiful downtown area, this riverfront downtown area. People don't generally, as Woody pointed out, view Moss Point sort of as this tourism stop, but it has become that because it's a beautiful downtown area. And the stop for cruising in Moss Point in particular, Woody pointed out that it was just incredible. It was just, people enjoyed it. The merchants, their business was booming. But no matter where they stopped, this is what people say. This is the story they say, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you can't go anywhere in town where you don't run into somebody who's here for cruising. And when we were at the Sea of Stars on Friday night for the drone show, the chamber was down there selling beverages. I had a guy come up and he said, "Hey, I live in Lafayette. We've got a great location like this, a big town green. How do we get one of these? How do we get this drone show?" And he was enjoying it. They came early for that. They like to chat. We like to chat and visit. We give people ideas of where to stop. They come into the chamber office. They call the chamber. Unfortunately, some folks call looking for hotels at the last minute, and we have to tell them, hey, that's few and far between to get a hotel. If you didn't pre-book one, there's probably not one for you, especially as we come into the week, the last weekend. Right.
It's really incredible. Like somebody with Jeff Duncan, who joins us every Friday to talk about the Saints, he said that he said, what, I've been really working hard this week. I'm gonna go rent a house in Bay St. Louis this weekend. And he called me yesterday and said,
yeah,
that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Not a place available anywhere in coastal Mississippi. I mean, you're talking about a booming event. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, back in the beginning, you probably could have waited and maybe got a hotel a day or two before, but that is not the case now. It is packed solid everywhere, and which is great for us all the way around.
It really is. Adele, I love spending time with you because you have such a sense of things. Before we get done with our conversation today, I want to talk about leadership Gulf Coast. You guys just had sort of your initial meeting. And I got a note from Keith Williams, Jr., about Ashley and I doing a session about, I think, the future and tourism and whatever else people want to talk about. I'm actually looking forward to it. Frankly, I'm retired now, so I don't really have to say yes to these. And jokingly told Keith, he's my son-in-law, as you well know.
Yeah.
I can't say no to him, but I would have definitely been involved in this effort because I believe in what you guys mean when you say leadership development. I mean, whether it's Jackson County or Harrison County or Hancock County or the master's program from the Business Council, these leadership programs are critical, and I want to give people a flavor of that. And I think you've got some other really important upcoming events coming up.
Right.
I want to chat just a little bit about the coastal Mississippi tourism situation and why thinking as a region is so important to us. But anyway, we'll hit all those topics coming up here in a second. When I come back, we'll continue our conversation with Adele Lyons.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
It's 2021 and J. Allen Toyota still has a lifetime warranty on all new Toyotas. They all come with Toyota Care. We've got a great rental department. We've got great used cars. We've got a parts and service department ready to help you. So when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk, Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever. Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. You know, again, I tell you this all the time. Some of the coolest, funnest conversations happen during the breaks. we ought to probably take a lot of those conversations on the air because people would really enjoy them. But the essence of the conversation was that Adele was longtime friends with my wife's family, the Bohanovich family. She went to school with Lisa Bohanovich Picard and sister. They were friends forever. So we just kind of laughed a little bit about what it used to be this at the Bohanovich house was sort of this social center where people came. Like, for example, Adele, the thing I remember so much about that house, which unfortunately was destroyed by Katrina, was when, all the pastries were made, the Croatian pastries and all of that, and they would have the table made up. And then all of the Croatian Christmas carolers would come by and sing all that amazing Christmas music in Croatian. And so many of those people are no longer with us. But man, that was just like, you're talking about the culture of Biloxi playing out right in front of our eyes. It was amazing, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, we used to go help make pusheratas and the strudel and the pineapples and all the goodies. We would sit there and help make those. It was always fun. I was in high school then, and that was still a fun thing to do, was hanging out and doing that. And then that continued, through the years of going there. And it was always a big party, always tons of folks, always tons of food. Never went hungry, for sure, ever.
Never went hungry. Never went hungry. I loved it. I mean, what I liked about it was that as I sort of became part of the family, to really appreciate that culture. And obviously Ann and I have since been over to Croatia, and Fofo and I have had entire shows together talking about the history of Biloxi, particularly as it relates to the Croatian community. But it was just fascinating to me to touch that history and that culture and to become a part of it. Now my kids are, they're part Croatian now, and I'm really proud of that. But it's great to have that family connection, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Ann's a year younger than me, so she was in school with my sisters. Peter's in school with one of my sister Reggie that we talked about earlier. And Mark was the same age as my brother Stevie. So we were just always in it together, and brownies and softball and, slumber parties, the whole 9 yards.
Well, okay, so coastal Mississippi is a big place. But never forget, if you forget this, you made a big mistake, a very big mistake, that it's a small town at the end of the day. Somebody's related to somebody somewhere. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. Always.
It's
always
pretty
somebody's
amazing.
cousin lurking around.
For sure. How well I know that. But anyway, look, let's talk for a second about the regional tourism effort. I've tried to stay relatively measured in my observations of the situation. And, they want to, cast some stones at me for bringing a focus on it. And that's fine. But it's more than me focused on it. I mean, there's a large number of really important business leaders that are terribly concerned about it. And it's not just the regionalism thing that's being threatened, but it is also this whole notion of having a structure that enables 2 or 3 people to literally change the course of history for an organization that should be independent and should have their own board governance and whatever. I know you've been watching it closely, but we really, at the end of the day, when all this is said and done, we have to maintain a regional tourism approach, don't we?
Yeah, I was certainly saddened to see it all unfold the way it has. Milton, I received an email from him. I sent him an email after the fact, and he said, you may not remember, but you're one of the first people that I had met when I started work. I think he was the second or third day, at least the first week on the job, and he came and spoke to Leadership Gulf Coast that you mentioned earlier, to Economic Day, to talk about the impact of tourism on the coast economy. And he said how welcome he felt, and how it was great to see a program. And so, certainly in many communities, the chamber is the tourism office as well. For our community, that's not how it's played out. We've had a separate economic development agency, and we've had a separate tourism agency, but we work together, just hand in hand all the time. Any time Milton had things happening that we needed to be involved with, or vice versa, It just always flowed very well. We have a lot of our members that are in the tourism industry. We get a lot of phone calls, even though we're not the tourism agency. We get a lot of phone calls, and we refer folks to restaurants and amenities. And then, of course, a lot of the staff and from the tourism agency are board members, are involved with the chamber. So, almost going back to what we were just talking about, we're all related, and it does come back. It's a small town, and we all work together. It's just, the regionalism side of it just made so much sense. So I'm really hoping that we can see that continue, and we can continue that partnership with the organization.
Well, I know whether it's talking to people like Tish Williams from the Hancock County Chamber, or Paige Roberts from the Jackson County Chamber, right, or you from the Coast Chamber, or Ashley from the Business Council, or Jonathan Jones and Travis Lund from the Gaming Group, co-chairing the effort for the Business Council. It really doesn't matter who I talk to. I don't see any single person who's out of alignment with what the goal is. So somehow, the people involved in this effort to sort of take a step backwards, they got insulated somehow. They lost track of who the stakeholders were. And in fact, when the stakeholders spoke up, they said, if you don't shut up, we're going to back out of regional tourism. It's just unfortunate that this thing played out this way. But, I haven't given up. I respect many of the people involved in this from the Board of Supervisors, and I think sometimes leaders just get misguided. Sometimes groupthink takes over. I don't know what the causes of this were, but I know there's a series of steps that we can take, starting with tweaking and improving, maybe legislatively tweaking and improving. Right. But ultimately, if none of that works, I recommend general legislation and blow it up, and let's go with a new approach. But that's down the road. I can assure you that we'll get leadership. We'll get leadership cooperation at the highest levels of the state to solve the problem. I hope none of that is necessary, because that sort of suggests there would be this long-term fight of some sort. But the dust won't settle on this issue, Adele. This is one. You've been around a long time, and I've seen some big issues in coastal Mississippi. I've never seen the kind of alignment there is on this one, ever. I've never seen the kind of alignment.
Well, I think there's some, if you want to kind of maybe come up with a comparison or look at it a different way. I mean, what if the Gaming Commission came in and all of a sudden made significant changes, regarding regulations or something to that effect that really was going to have a huge effect on the gaming industry? I mean, just look at the impact that would have on the Gulf Coast, the number of jobs, just our brand. Of what people know the coast to be and why people come to the coast. I mean, there's just a correlation of that back to tourism. And of course, gaming and tourism go hand in hand. But we've got something here that works. Can we get back on track?
Yeah, we get back on track. That's kind of where I want to be. You watch that now infamous 3-minute video from the Board of Supervisors meeting, and you get a sense that the snickering and the laughing and the digging in, that it's like they don't want to hear other people's voices. They've forgotten who their stakeholders are. And I hope, listen, I get it. Everyone has a bad moment. Everyone can have a bad moment. But I hope that in the quietness of their thoughts, when they're alone with themselves and they think about the relationships they have with all these people who are involved in this, that they say, you know what, we're not in the right place. We got to be in a different place. So many of them, frankly, I go back so far back with so many of them, and I can't see how they got so crossed up with so many people. That's what amazes me, actually. And they've got a chance to fix it. Hopefully they will.
Well, I'll leave it with this. Generally, when you serve, either publicly serve or you're asked or appointed to serve, you're really looking at it. To me, the theory is you look at it for the greater good. What's the greater good?
100%. I can't agree more. Hey, look, let's shift gears.
Okay.
As I mentioned at the beginning, I have talked with numerous guests over the whole stint of Coast Vue, that one of the most powerful things that we do is we have these really formal, intense, months-long leadership programs. And they are incredibly important, not just because it enables us to find people who are up-and-comers who can be involved in future leadership opportunities for the coast, but it also is a great way to acclimate them on how the coast is this collection of communities that somehow comes together to find our common issues and becomes the most powerful region in this state, with Chevron and Ingalls on one end and Stennis Space Center on the other end. Mark Henderson said to me last week, he's such a smart guy, but he said, more PhD, the number of PhDs in Hancock County rival the rest of the world. There are more oceanographers in Hancock County than the rest of the world. But to be able to tell that story through the leadership programs is so darn important. So you guys just recently had sort of your initiation of Leadership Gulf Coast. What I want to do when we come back from the break is talk about what that was all about. And then how does this thing unfold over the next several months so people can get a sense of, how much energy you put into this and the volunteer leadership of it. It's really quite significant. We also had a passing of a very dear friend who missed this year's, obviously since he passed away not long ago, but I want to mention him as well. So we come back after this break.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to SuperTalkMSGulfCoast.com.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health, our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard. And,
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast View. I have Adele Lyons, the CEO of the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber, the Coast Chamber. And when we went to break, we were starting to talk about Leadership Gulf Coast, which was recently, this class was kicked off. They do it at Longlease Plantation. It's a terrific sort of off-site meeting with lots of brainstorming and team building and all that. But this was a kind of somber one, and not so somber, and Adele will explain that in just a second. But there was a special friend that Coastal Mississippi had over so many years, and unfortunately, he passed away recently. So why don't you talk about Brent, if you don't mind, Adele?
So Brent Henley is a guy who is a consultant, a facilitator for leadership programs across the country. And when the Leadership Gulf Coast program started in 1991, Brent facilitated that first opening retreat, and then at the end of the session, the closing retreat. And he has done that over the years for almost every single year. I think he missed one or two. I think the Katrina class, he wasn't able to participate in one other year for some reason, but ultimately 30 years he has been the facilitator for the opening retreat, which is when the class meets each other, when they come together, they start forming themselves really as a group into some small teams, do a variety of activities. It's an overnight retreat. And Brent just really set the stage. But then he also worked with a lot of local companies who he met those folks through Leadership Gulf Coast. Of course, Roland Weeks was very involved in the beginning and bringing about Leadership Gulf Coast. I know he worked with People's Bank. Just a variety of companies across the coast. Olive Pre, back in the day, pre-Golden Nugget. His style, he's originally from Oklahoma, but lived in Louisiana for a long time. So he loved Louisiana cooking and good food. He loved smoking his cigars. He loves some good scotch and bourbon, and really had made some great friends here. He spent a lot of time here on the coast working with those various groups. And he had gotten to the point where he had so many friends here. When he came, he didn't stay in a hotel. He stayed with his friends. Several of them, Mark and Becky Jenner, Dennis and Annette Burke, Christy Pickering and her husband. There was just a variety of folks that he called and said, I'm coming to town, can I stay? And everybody was happy to have him. It was always he's a great guest, somebody you could talk to just all day long.
Yeah, Ashley Edwards wrote a great piece about Brent, and so, I mean, everybody did. Dennis did. They all reflected in these wonderful, sort of global conversations they would have over some nice bourbon and that cigar, and people would post a picture of the bourbon and the glass and the cigar in honor of Brent. But it was, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and as I mentioned off the air, there was just got like this rush of memories about Brent's contributions to Coastal Mississippi over all those years. And I was actually stunned that he was still involved in the way that he was after all of these years. So God bless him and God rest his soul. But he had a partner that has really sort of embodied a lot of what Brent brought to the table. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Dr. Steve Fowler worked with his company, the Pyramid Group, and he's been involved with the Jackson County Chamber doing their opening retreat. So he knew the drill. He kind of knew some of the exercises. And I had talked with Steve via Zoom about taking over the program, and I had, we had shared some emails. And when we got there, it just immediately, we both hugged each other like we were old, fast friends. We had that connection of Brent, but then just from talking, you could just tell he knew what we wanted and what we needed. And he had a lot of the same presentation styles and mannerisms, and it just worked, it clicked. And that was just helped. I just felt so much better because I want the class to have the ultimate experience, and Brent was the ultimate experience, and certainly it hasn't been replaced, but it's been a good fit, and it gelled really well, and I was very happy how the opening retreat turned out.
It's a testament to Brent, and
yes.
I can't help but think about the book Built to Last, where it says when you have a the book, but when you have a transformational leader, sometimes when they pass away, that they don't leave sort of the value, these enduring values that enable the company to continue to move on. But he obviously did a great job of embedding that into his company and pass those on so that the spirit of Brent can continue to live on. And it's just a wonderful testament to Brent, but I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised.
No.
Are you?
No. And as a matter of fact, we're planning the Leadership Gulf Coast alumni event for December the 4th, I believe. I might not have that date right, but we're actually going to do a celebration of life for Brent, because everybody who participated in the leadership program knew him. And the thing is, he knew everybody. He could remember your name. If you had been in the program 10 years ago, when you walked in, he'd say, well, there's Mary, and how are you doing, and what's going on? And that always blew my mind, that he could just remember things about people. He just was very much a people person, very much, and really just took it all in. I don't know how he had room in his brain to remember all that, but he did.
So you had the first class. I mean, not the first class. You had the most recent class that went through this acclamation. I bet you leave that every time with saying, wow, we've got some great leaders coming up in this community.
I always say I'm going to go to Longleaf, and there's the facilitator, and then we have the program chair, which is Jacavius Pickett this year, and the co-chair who will follow along next year is Leslie Kelly with Community Bank. And I always say I'm going to leave it to them, and I'm going to go sit in another room, and I bring some work that I'm going to do. I end up sitting in the session the whole time, just listening and learning about the folks and being part, being a part from the back row of the program. And it's amazing. And you'll see people begin to share their experiences and, things about themselves and why they came to the coast, why they've stayed here, those types of conversations. And it's always just so interesting. It's always so engaging.
And I always think about my friend John Hairston, which I quote him often. But, George Schlegel said this, Jerry St. Pé, Roland drove this into my head. I said it often. But the way that John talked about it is that you just don't go lead the Coast Chamber. You have to do your reps. You have to find your volunteer role and play it, maybe work your way into a board, go to another organization so you can change your perspective, go through leadership programs like Leadership Gulf Coast. But by doing that, we're preparing the future leaders. And look, as we know, because you and I were involved in so many leadership roles over the many, many years, it's a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift to be involved at a high level. You have to be willing to and able to deal with multiple personalities. There are private sector and public sector people that might be involved. You have to know a lot about nonprofit law at times, because there are things you can do and there are things you can't do depending on the formation of your 501(c) whatever. It can be complicated. So it takes time, doesn't it? And you get an opportunity to see people who've already begun to flex their muscles and do their reps, and now they're kind of taking a step up to really see sort of a broader vision. And Coast of Mississippi has done a good job with this since we set out to do this, haven't we?
Yeah, Leadership Gulf Coast is really, in some ways, it's a team building, to build your team of folks that some of them they'll go in knowing people, so they learn more about them, and others are complete strangers, and they're making those connections, and those connections stay for a long time. Those are people they'll go back to and rely on. So it's a community awareness program, so that people, they'll say, I've lived here my whole life and I didn't know that, or I've never went to that place, or I didn't know this organization existed. So it's just really an eye opener for people who are not from the community. Same thing for them. You know, they didn't know because they weren't around, but they're just learning. And so if you're going to be involved in the community, this really gives you every level and layer of the community so that you can understand. So something like Military Day, which is coming up on October the 20th, you know, it's Keesler, it's the CB base, it's the National Guard, the role that they play here in the community, which is pretty large with some of the, you know, facilities. People know the ones that are obvious. You know, you drive by and can see Keesler. They know the CBs from just their work they also do in the community. But there's some other installations people don't know about. There's some government contractors. And so and then of course the economic impact that the military has on the community and the retirees. Now, unfortunately, we can't go to the Armed Forces Retirement Home this year due to COVID, but folks who've never been there, that is something to see. That is a true gem and a treasure on the coast. Certainly the facility, but the personnel that are there, the folks that are there, the stories they have to tell. So we always kick off with Military Day. It's just such a, you know, proud to be an American, so proud of everything we do here on the coast for our military. But we go on through, of course, the other sessions. But it really takes somebody they got a little hankering and they want to be involved in the community. And it really just, you know, kind of gives them their shot to move forward and how they're going to continue that trajectory as leaders in the community or being involved in the community.
It is so important to see, you know, I talk about the role of the military on Coast Vue all the time. It's their direct economic impact. It's the quality of the people that they inject into our community, both in terms of those who are enlisted, those who are not enlisted, those who retire here. It's very significant, and they're here in so many different ways. Literally every branch of the armed forces. It's just incredible, their contribution, and what they do from this base of operation to make contributions around the world is really, really incredible. But that's just one example. I mean, you think about Ingalls, and you think about the Stennis, and you think about the blue economy, and it's incredible. Hey, when we come back, we'll talk about some upcoming events coming at the Coast Chamber. We'll continue with Adele after this break.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Adele Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera slips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I have my friend Adele Lyons, the CEO of the Coast Chamber. And, the last segment, we spent the whole segment talking about the leadership programs here in coastal Mississippi and the passing of our dear friend, Brent Henley, and his contributions to coastal Mississippi. But as I said, he left his company in good hands, and hopefully we'll continue to move forward. And sort of that great experience that Brent created will now be in the people who take it from here. And we're excited about that. Hey, listen, before we move on to the events that are coming up, if someone heard this conversation about Leadership Gulf Coast, how do you get in Leadership Gulf Coast?
Well, it's an application process. It's about a 4 or 5 page application, so nothing to be done at the last minute. Certainly, the applications will open in the spring, so usually it's in late to mid-April-ish. They're open for about a month. They're due in early May. There is a tuition fee for that, but there are some tuition assistance programs available for the program. There's a class of 38 that's selected. We always have more applications than we have spots. So you don't have to be a chamber member to participate and apply. And it's just a great opportunity to, as we said over and over again, to really learn more about your community and to get involved and really grow professionally from a development standpoint.
Yeah, I would strongly recommend, actually, because it is competitive. It would help you. It's not a last minute application, but it would help you to see the application so you can see what's being asked of you. And if your analysis of yourself is that you may fall short in some areas, you get a chance to shore that up before you actually go through the process. So if you're interested, contact the Coast Chamber, and I'm sure they'll share the application with you.
Absolutely.
So we have State of the County address coming up and several other really interesting events. So why don't you kind of fill me in?
Yeah, we have on October the 14th, breakfast with the mayor in Long Beach. So Mayor Bass will be giving kind of a state of the city address. That's on October 14th at USM. That's always a good event. Mayor Bass is a very active and involved mayor in his city. Got lots of plans, lots of things working there. So those are always good to attend just to keep you up with what's going on. Of course, our young professional group's got something fun coming up. They're going to go out on the Ship Island excursion boat. for a Sunset Boo Cruise. So it's kind of a networking opportunity with a Halloween twist to it. That's on October 20th. One that I really think people might be interested in is our Breakfast with Business Champions. This is put on by our Diversity Council. That's on October the 22nd at 7:30 at the Community College at the Hospitality Resort Awareness Center. And we've got 4 different speakers talking about aspects of starting a small business or running your small business, particularly focused on minority small businesses. So we've got everybody from Mercedes, from El Agave, to Sean Pittman from Pastor Christian Books and the Cat Island Coffee House that'll be talking about small business. Got a guy, I don't know if you've met, Dr. Greg Bradley. He teaches at USM. He also is a consultant with Bradley Research Group. He's going to be talking about the entrepreneurial mindset. So how to think like an entrepreneur, even though you maybe work in a corporate setting. How do you work and think and use entrepreneurial characteristics within your department to help grow that department and yourself personally? So Dr. Bradley's going to be with us on October the 28th. That's from 8:30 to 9:30. And the last one I'll mention is our Coast Young Professionals has their Ignite Leadership Conference. So this is an all-day event where they're having folks offering to the young professionals to come together. They've got the importance of personal branding, discovering impactful industries. So as you were talking about earlier, we've got some industry heads that are going to come in and talk about why these industries are important on the coast. We've got a mentor roundtable. So we've got, I think it's 5 or 6 different mentors that'll be coming in and sit down and tell their story and lessons they've learned and tips and tricks. And that's going to be on November the 2nd at the IP. That's a Tuesday, so that'll be all day long. So always good things happening. Check out our Facebook page, check out our website, give us a call. There's something for everybody. If you're not a chamber member, we'd love to have you. Most of these events are open to non-members, so you can kind of dip your toe in and see if this is for you and go from there. So keep
in the wake of the pandemic, how has membership done, just overall Coast Chamber membership?
Well, we really saw a dip early on, and now we're back where we were, actually a little ahead. We're about 960 members. We're a little ahead of where we were, when COVID started. So we definitely saw some small businesses, some other companies that are, hey, we don't know what's going on. We're not sure what we're going to be able to do. But we've seen a steady increase. We've seen lots of new members joining. And so it's on the rise. Getting back to our high numbers are up near 1,000. So we're getting back in that arena.
And I'm not surprised to hear that because we're coming to the end. We have less than a minute left. But I'll say this, that having the opportunity to visit with you throughout the pandemic, knowing the focus that you put on small businesses, you were sort of this clearinghouse for all this information, whether they were a member or not. Your focus was on saving their businesses, giving them the information they needed to make the decisions they needed to make, know what programs were available to them, and on and on and on. When you take that point of view toward your business community, whether they're a member or not, it pays off. People see the worth of your organization.
That goes back to the greater good, Ricky. You do it for the greater good, and it comes back to work out well for you in the end.
I would say the pandemic drove the point home that the Coast Chamber is as strong today as it has ever been, and is in no short measure to a great board, an incredible staff that you have working with you and your leadership, Adele. So thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Kyle.
Be safe on your international travels. We'll see you when you get back.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.
Hey, guess what?